Do you remember when jobs required you to trust your hands more than a screen? When the clatter of machinery was the soundtrack to an entire industry? And when entire professions could vanish in the space of a decade? The 1970s were filled with occupations that seemed permanent, essential, woven into the fabric of everyday life, until suddenly they weren't. These were jobs your parents or grandparents might have held, roles that shaped communities and kept the world turning, but that have now faded so completely from memory that younger generations can barely imagine they existed at all. This is a journey back to 25 jobs from the 1970s you forgot existed, each one a window into a world that technology, economics, and time have swept away. It's 1975. You're a key punch operator, and your job is to translate the world into wholes. In a windowless room thick with cigarette smoke and the metallic hum of machines, rows of desks stretch before you, each holding a clattering key punch machine. You take a stack of coding sheets or payroll forms and begin typing, every keystroke punching tiny rectangular holes into a stiff cardboard card, 80 columns across, each hole representing a letter, number, or command the mainframe can understand. The machine prints faint text along the top so humans can verify your work. Accuracy is everything. One mistyped digit could crash an entire program. You double-check each batch on a verifier machine before boxing the cards for the computer room. If someone drops a box, thousands of cards scatter, chaos only restored by reordering them by sequence number. The hours are long, the rhythm mechanical, but you are essential, the bridge between human thought and digital logic. By 1980, terminals will replace you, but today, without your precision, the computer is just a silent million-dollar hulk. It's 1972 and you're a switchboard operator, the invisible voice that connects the world. Inside a cramped telephone exchange, the air hums with circuits and smells of ozone and old coffee. A light blinks on your towering switchboard, and you slip into motion. Plug in your headset cord, flip a switch, and say, "Number, please?" The caller gives you a number, maybe long distance, and your hands move in a practiced blur, patching cords between jacks, linking one voice to another. You juggle dozens of calls at once, whispering quick codes to other operators while lights flash across the board. You know the directory by heart, answer questions about the weather, and never lose your polite tone, especially with the supervisor listening behind you. The work is relentless. Your arms ache, your throat burns, and during storms, you tense at every thunderclap, fearing a lightning surge through your headset. Still, there's pride in your precision, in being the living thread stitching conversations across miles. By the end of the 1970s, direct dialing is everywhere, and your job is disappearing fast. Automation has made you redundant. What did it feel like to be the thread that stitched every conversation together, knowing that one day soon, machines would do it faster and you'd be forgotten? It's 1973, and you're an elevator operator, the gatekeeper of vertical travel. You stand inside a brass and marble department store lobby, in a tiny car barely big enough for 6 people, one hand resting on a polished wooden lever. When passengers step in, you greet them with a practiced smile, ask their floor, and guide the car upward with smooth precision. Your job is all about control, stopping level with each floor. No jolts, no gaps. It takes skill. One wrong pull and you overshoot, leaving an uneven step that draws frowns. You announce each floor in a clear, professional voice. 3rd floor, ladies' apparel, accessories, and lingerie, sometimes helping with parcels or holding the door for a late shopper. The air smells faintly of oil and perfume, the motor humming above like a heartbeat. You wear a neat uniform and cap, a symbol of service and poise. The work is repetitive, but you take quiet pride in its rhythm, in making movement feel seamless. By 1975, automatic elevators replace you. Still, for a moment, you were the human touch behind every graceful ascent. It's 1970, and you're a milkman, the dawn's first visitor, delivering breakfast before the world wakes. Your refrigerated truck hums softly as you pull up to a familiar house, the porch light glowing faintly. You lift 2 cold glass bottles from your crate, the glass slick with condensation, and place them in the wooden milk box, swapping out the empties left from yesterday. This is your rhythm. 200 homes before noon, rain or shine. Each stop tells a story. A note asking for extra cream, an envelope with cash, or bottles piling up when someone's away or ill. You know every family by name, every dog that barks when you step onto the porch. The work is hard, lifting, running, driving, but there's quiet pride in it too. You bring the day's first freshness, the small comfort of routine. By the mid-1970s, supermarkets and paper cartons will end routes like yours. But for now, with the cold air in your lungs and bottles clinking in the crate, you are the keeper of mornings, ensuring no one's breakfast begins without milk. It's 1974, and you're a film projectionist, the unseen magician behind the silver screen. Perched in a cramped, sweltering booth high above the theater, you work by the dim glow of twin 35mm projectors and the flicker of light through the porthole window. Tonight's a double feature, 2 films, 6 reels each, and your job is precision. You've already threaded the first reel through projector A, weaving the fragile film through sprockets and rollers, adjusting tension so it won't snap. The xenon lamp roars behind you, the air thick with heat and the faint tang of burning dust. When the lights dim and the curtain parts, your pulse quickens. You watch for the cigarette burns, tiny cue marks that flash just seconds before a reel ends. One perfect move. Start projector B, flip the changeover, and if done right, no one notices a thing. Between reels, you inspect for scratches, splice torn frames, keep the fire extinguisher close. The audience never sees you, but every flawless show is your signature. Decades later, your craft becomes obsolete, replaced by a hard drive and a button. Step now into a bustling print shop in 1975, where you're a linotype operator, a craftsman turning language into metal. The print shop hums and clatters around you, the air heavy with the scent of hot lead and ink. You sit before a towering linotype machine, a contraption of keys, levers, and pipes that looks part locomotive, part typewriter. Your fingers dance across its 90-key board. Edwin Chardlou, right at the center, translating a reporter's scribbled notes into lines of type. With each keystroke, a brass matrix drops into place. When the line is full, you pull the lever and molten lead, heated to 550 degrees, floods the mold. A heartbeat later, a solid slug of text clinks into the tray, your words cast in metal. The heat is relentless, the air filled with clanks, hisses, and the faint sweet smell of lead. You work through the night, thousands of characters an hour. Knowing one mistake means melting the line and starting again. Soon, phototype setting will make this all obsolete. But tonight, with ink-stained fingers and the machine's steady rhythm in your bones, you're shaping tomorrow's A. News, one molten line at a time. Transport yourself now to a bowling alley in 1972, where you're a pin setter, or as they call you, a pin boy. The air in the bowling alley hums with music, laughter, and the thunder of rolling balls. You're crouched on a narrow wooden platform behind the pins, every crash echoing through your chest. A ball rockets down the lane, scattering pins, and you leap into motion, resetting the standing ones, collecting the fallen, and slotting them into the rack above. Then you shove the ball back onto the return track and scramble to safety before the next throw. You're juggling 3 lanes at once, sweat on your forehead, arms aching from constant lifting. The pins are heavier than they look, and the real danger comes when someone bowls too soon. You've learned to duck fast or risk a flying pin to the ribs. For a few bucks a night and all the cokes you can drink, it's exhausting, dangerous work, but it's yours. By the 1980s, automatic pin setters will make you obsolete. For now, though, every crash, every perfect reset is proof you're part of the game's heartbeat. Now picture yourself on a frozen lake in rural Wisconsin in January 1971, where the cold is so sharp it hurts to breathe and your breath comes out in white clouds. The ice is 14 inches thick, ideal for harvest. Since dawn, you and your crew have scored the surface into neat 22-inch squares, using horse-drawn plows and long handsaws that make your shoulders ache with every stroke. When a block loosens, you hook it with iron tongs and heave it free. 300 pounds of glittering blue ice sliding into the channel you've carved toward shore. There, it's hauled by sled to the ice house, stacked high between layers of sawdust to last through summer. The work is punishing, the cold merciless, and danger constant. One wrong step on thin ice could send you plunging into freezing water with seconds to survive. You've seen it happen. Still, there's pride in the rhythm, the hiss of saws, the groan of shifting ice, the shimmer of sunlight on crystal slabs. Soon, refrigerators will end this century-old trade. But for now, you're harvesting winter itself, one frozen block at a time. Shift now to a small industrial town in northern England in 1973, where you're a knocker-upper, the human alarm clock who keeps the mills running on time. It's 4:30 a.m., the streets are silent, your breath fogs in the cold air, and you're tapping on a bedroom window with your long bamboo pole. You've been on your route since 3, moving from house to house, rousing your clients before dawn. The Johnsons get 3 quick taps, the Murphys prefer your pea shooter, and old Mr. Davies needs a good knock on the door. For 6 pence a week, you guarantee they're awake before the factory whistle blows. You don't leave until you see a curtain move or a light flicker on inside. The work is lonely and bitterly cold, but there's pride in it. 40 families depending on your punctual knock to keep their wages intact. Soon, cheap alarm clocks will replace you, and the role will vanish into history. But for now, under the dim glow of the street lamps, you walk your quiet route, steady and reliable, the heartbeat of the town before morning comes. Imagine yourself now in a chilly river in northern Maine in early spring of 1975, the water rushing past your rubber boots as you balance on a log that bobs and shifts beneath your feet. You're a log driver, they call you a river pig, and your job is to guide thousands of freshly cut trees downriver to the sawmill 30 miles away. The spring thaw has come, freeing thousands of logs that stretch for miles, all headed for the sawmill 30 miles downstream. You balance on the slick, shifting wood, using a long pike pole to steer stragglers back into the current and break up jams before they turn deadly. The river roars beneath you, ice still clinging to its edges, your boots soaked through, your breath white in the morning air. One wrong step, one slip, and the current will drag you under, between tons of spinning, grinding logs. You move with instinct and muscle memory now, shouting to your crew through the spray, every man depending on the others to survive. At night, you camp by the riverbank, eating beans and bread from the floating kitchen raft, warming your hands by the fire as the logs drift past in the dark. By next year, trucks and roads will end this brutal, beautiful trade. But for now, you stand steady on the moving river, master of the last great log drive. Now step into a brightly lit room in 1968 at NASA's Langley Research Center in Virginia, where you sit at a desk covered with graph paper, a slide rule, and a mechanical calculator the size of a typewriter. You're a human computer, and despite what your job title suggests, you're not a machine. You're a woman with a mathematics degree, and you're one of dozens performing complex calculations that will help send rockets into space. You sit in a bright room lined with desks, graph paper, and mechanical calculators that clatter like typewriters. An engineer hands you pages of raw data from a wind tunnel test, columns of air pressure and velocity, and your task is to turn them into meaning. You punch figures into your calculator, check logarithms with your slide rule, and plot points on graph paper until a curve takes shape, revealing how a rocket wing behaves at different speeds. Every decimal, every line matters. A single error could throw off a mission. Around you, dozens of other women, black and white, though still segregated into separate groups, work just as intently, each assigned to a different project. You're paid less than the men, yet astronauts like John Glenn trust your numbers over the machines. Soon, electronic computers will make your title obsolete. But for now, your precision fuels exploration itself, proof that before machines could think, it was your calculations that reached the stars. Transport yourself to a Western Union office in 1970, where you're a telegraph operator at Western Union, a professional communicator fluent in dots and dashes. Your job is to take written messages, translate them into Morse code, and send them across thousands of miles of wire. You rest your hand on the brass key, tapping out dit-dit-dit-da for V, dot-dit-da-dit for C, each pulse racing through copper lines to another operator who translates the clicks back into words. Around you, the office hums with metallic rhythm, the chatter of keys, the smell of paper and machine oil, the quiet focus of people moving information at the speed of sound. You can send 30 words a minute without thinking, but after 20 years, your arm burns with glass arm, the strain all veteran operators know. Teletype machines and telephones are taking over, making your skill obsolete. Soon the clicking will stop for good. Yet as you finish another message, you can still hear the elegance in the code, the heartbeat of a world once connected by rhythm, patience, and human touch. Now imagine walking into a Blockbuster video store on a Friday night in 1988. Yes, technically late 1980s, but the job's roots are firmly in the late 1970s when the first video rental shops opened. You're a video rental associate, a mix of film expert, librarian, and customer service rep. The store is alive with Friday night energy. Kids swarm the candy racks, parents debate comedies versus thrillers, and the new releases wall is nearly empty. Behind the counter, you scan VHS tapes, rewind returns, be kind, please rewind, restock shelves, and mediate late fee arguments with practiced calm. You know the inventory by heart, exactly where to find RoboCop or The Little Mermaid, and customers rely on your movie wisdom. The air smells of plastic cases and buttered popcorn, and the steady click of VHS boxes is the soundtrack of the evening. It's fast, chaotic, but oddly comforting. Helping families pick their perfect film feels like a small kind of magic. At its peak, Blockbuster employs over 84,000 people. But within 2 decades, streaming and Netflix's algorithms replace you. The blue and yellow glow fades, and with it, the human touch behind "Have a nice movie night." Shift to a cramped, noisy repair shop in New York City in 1975, where you're bent over a typewriter, tools spread across your workbench. You're a typewriter mechanic, a specialist in the art of making words flow again. Your latest patient is an IBM Selectric with a jammed type ball, brought in by a frantic lawyer who needs it working by Monday. You remove the metal cover to reveal a jungle of springs, levers, and gears, each part with its own rhythm and purpose. You clean out dust, replace a worn spring, realign the rotation mechanism, and oil the joints until everything moves in perfect harmony. When you hit the keys and the ball spins freely, it feels like music. Your work demands patience, precision, and a mechanic's intuition honed over years of apprenticeship. You fix machines from 1920s Underwoods to modern electrics, even making house calls to newsrooms where deadlines don't wait. But word processors and computers are coming fast, and by the mid-1980s, your trade is vanishing. Still, you remember the smell of ink and oil, the click-clack of perfection, the satisfaction of resurrecting the written word by hand. Picture yourself now at a gas station in 1972, wearing a crisp uniform with your name embroidered on the chest pocket, standing beside a row of pumps as a car pulls up. You're a full-service gas station attendant, and the driver doesn't even get out. That's your job. You approach the window with a smile, ask, "Fill her up?" And when they nod, you unscrew their gas cap and slide the nozzle in, watching the numbers spin on the mechanical pump. But you're not done. While the tank fills, you grab a squeegee and bucket, washing the windshield in smooth strokes until every bug and streak is gone. You pop the hood, check the oil with the dipstick, top off the radiator fluid, test the tire pressure with your gauge. The driver hands you cash through the window, you make change from the coin dispenser on your belt, and they're on their way, all without ever leaving their seat. It's a ballet of efficiency, and on a busy Saturday, you might service 100 cars. But the work has its dangers. You're breathing gasoline fumes all day, every day. Benzene, toluene, xylene, chemicals that years later you'll learn can cause leukemia and neurological damage. Your hands reek of gasoline no matter how much you scrub them. And then comes 1973, and everything changes. The oil crisis hits, gas prices skyrocket, stations start closing on Sundays to save fuel, and suddenly self-service islands appear, where customers pump their own gas for a few cents less per gallon. Why pay an attendant when people can do it themselves? By 1977, full-service stations are vanishing fast, and your job along with them. A few states like New Jersey will mandate full service for decades to come, but everywhere else, it's over. Do you remember the pride of sending someone off with a sparkling windshield and a full tank? The way regular customers knew you by name. The satisfaction of a job that was about service, not just transactions? Now step into a factory in North Carolina in 1974, sitting at an industrial sewing machine that roars like a small engine, the needle punching through fabric 3,000 times per minute. You're a sewer and stitcher, part of an assembly line making men's dress shirts, and your job is to attach collars, the same task over and over for 8 hours straight. You align, stitch, toss, repeat. Paid by the piece, 3 cents a collar, you race the clock to hit 500 before quitting time. The floor is hot, noisy, and crowded, filled with the rhythmic thunder of machines and the chemical tang of starch. Your back aches, your wrists burn, and your fingers are tough as leather. But it's honest work, steady work. Then the changes come. Automation trims crews from 10 to 1. Factories move overseas where wages are pennies. By 1980, your plant shutters, and the hum that filled your life falls silent. Still, you remember that vibration through your palms, the collective rhythm of 100 machines, the quiet pride in every perfect seam you stitched into the fabric of American life. Imagine yourself now in a New England textile mill in 1973, walking between towering rows of spinning machines that turn raw cotton into thread. The noise so loud you have to wear earplugs just to think. You're a textile operative, and your job is to patrol these machines, watching for broken threads that need piecing back together, for bobbins that need changing, for any malfunction that could shut down production. The noise is deafening, the air thick with lint, and your job is constant motion, tying snapped threads, swapping bobbins, brushing away dust before it clogs the spindles. You tend to hundreds of whirring spools, your fingers nicked and raw, lungs heavy with the fine cotton fibers everyone just calls brown dust. Your family's done this work for generations. Grandfather, father, now you. But automation is closing in. New open-end machines need one worker where 10 once stood, and cheap imports are flooding the market. By 1980, the mill shuts down, its brick walls left to crumble. Still, you remember that rhythm, the steady hum of spindles, the way you could sense a break in the line by sound alone, the camaraderie of men and women who kept the threads of a fading industry alive, one knot at a time. Transport yourself to a suburban home in 1970, where you arrive each Monday and Wednesday morning to care for the children while their mother goes to work. You're a private household childcare worker, a babysitter in the language of the time, and today you're watching 3 kids under the age of 7. You make them breakfast, settle their squabbles, supervise playtime, wipe noses, change diapers, prepare lunch, and put the youngest down for a nap. The pay is modest, maybe 75 cents an hour, but it's flexible work you can do while your own kids are in school. There's no contract, no benefits, no taxes withheld. It's all informal, arranged with a handshake and paid in cash at the end of the week. Across America, over 500,000 women do this kind of work, filling a gap as more mothers enter the workforce. But the 1970s bring changes. Daycare centers start opening, more structured, more professional, with trained staff and educational curriculums. The 1976 tax law changes make it more attractive for families to use licensed providers they can claim on their taxes rather than paying someone under the table. By 1980, over 100,000 private household childcare positions vanish, replaced by organized group care. It's not that the work disappears entirely, but the informal cash-paid home babysitter becomes rarer, evolving into professional nannying, or fading away as both parents' work schedules shift. Do you remember the particular exhaustion of a day spent keeping small humans alive and happy? The way the youngest would fall asleep on your shoulder? The trust those families placed in you? Now, picture yourself on top of a 250-foot smokestack at a factory in industrial England in 1976. The wind whipping around you. Nothing between you and the ground but air. You're a steeplejack, a smokestack cleaner, and you've climbed this chimney using only the iron rungs built into the brickwork. No safety harness, no fall protection. Your job is to clean the soot and creosote from the inside, brick by brick, using brushes and scrapers, and sometimes to demolish the chimney entirely if the factory no longer needs it. You lower yourself on ropes, chipping away at decades of buildup, the black dust coating your clothes, your face, getting into your lungs with every breath. The work is lonely, just you and the sky, and incredibly dangerous. A gust of wind at the wrong moment, a crumbling brick under your foot, and you're gone. You've never fallen off a big chimney, as the saying goes, because you only fall off one of them once. You don't carry insurance because it's too expensive for work this risky, and you know that every time you climb, you're betting your life on your skill and luck. By the 1990s, safety regulations make this kind of unprotected work illegal, and robots start doing the job. Mechanical crawlers with cameras and brushes that can clean chimneys from the inside without a human ever leaving the ground. The old way, your way, becomes obsolete. Can you remember the view from the top of that chimney? The strange calm that came from being so high up that the world below looked like a toy. The satisfaction of a job that proved every single day that you were tougher than fear itself? Finally, imagine yourself in a rail yard in 1975, standing between two massive freight cars as they roll slowly toward each other. You're a railroad switchman, and your job is to manually operate the track switches that route trains from one line to another and to couple the cars together so they can be pulled as one unit. You pull the heavy lever on the switch stand, throwing the points to align the tracks, then signal the engineer with your lantern. Green for go, red for stop. The cars come together with a jarring clang of metal on metal, and you step between them to secure the coupling, dropping the pin into place, while the cars are still moving slightly. It's a job that requires perfect timing, because if you're too slow, you get caught between 2 tons of rolling steel. Crushed limbs, crushed bodies. It's happened to men you know. The work is year-round, in rain, snow, heat, and darkness, and the rail yard never sleeps. But by the mid-1970s, computerized switching systems are arriving, allowing one person in an office to control entire yards with push buttons and monitors. Automation makes the job safer, yes, but it also makes it unnecessary. Within a decade, the manual switchman, climbing on cars, pulling levers, risking his life for every coupling, will be gone, replaced by remote controls and sensors. Do you remember the weight of that switch lever? The sound of couplers locking together? The adrenaline of working inches away from machinery that could kill you without even noticing? If you've enjoyed this journey back to the 1970s, if any of these jobs sparked a memory or made you wonder what you might own, do me a favor. Click on one of the cards playing on your screen to watch similar videos.